What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today. So nothing has really changed. We are still underneath this downward sloping trend line. As you can see, we had a solid close on the weekly, retesting, and we'll see where it takes us, as we still have 1 day and 22 hours, so pretty much 2 days left to see where this takes us. Hopefully, the best case scenario would be closing back above this horizontal level of support, as well as this upward sloping trend line here, getting back into this zone and starting to play with these higher targets up here and eventually breaking that. As of now, we're looking more bearish than bullish in the near term. Short term does not mean it has to play out. Like I said, just because of this close here, it is indicating lower levels, but we still have price being supported right here. So we are really sandwiched, like I said, between key levels within trend lines and levels of support and resistance. If we were to crack this level and get a hold on 406, it could potentially have a clean move to around 434 to around 446 before finding that next level of resistance like we've already seen before. We want to get back above that upward sloping trend line, as we know that has been a key level of support, and it's allowed the trend to continue over time. As you can see, we've had our first couple touches in this region between September 2023 and October 2023. We've had this other one here from January to February of 2024, and we've had some touches over here August 24 to September 2024, and again over here. So we can see that every time we've touched it, we've had some kind of significant move, and at this moment we've touched it and we've actually fallen underneath it. But if we were to reclaim this would look much better on the monthly, as it would just be a wick on the monthly and then a nice move to the upside. On the daily, it looks like we closed just outside of it, very, very close. It's hard to tell. I believe the next candle should open outside of this downward sloping trend line. So that could be the start of some kind of move to the upside. We'll see. At least to start the day, at least, anything can happen. Like I said before, this thing could open and start to fall off. Ideally, we would like to see it open out here, retest down, wick, and then push back up. And like I said, close back above this structure. As you have confluence to the downside, you have this horizontal level right here, and you have this upward sloping trend line. So once we bounce off of this structure, expect some kind of short-term rejection before being able to push up higher. When we compare this to global liquidity, you can see that we have much higher to go still, as I believe we're somewhere in this area before making some kind of climb, sideways chop, and then another leg up before a major drawdown. And I don't think we're near this major drawdown just yet. I think it'll be a little bit more severe after having a nice run up, and then we'll see some kind of move down. Of course, it'll be varying on the dollar. Right now, the dollar is sitting at 98.193, which we'll go over in a minute here on this video. But if the dollar were to drop, global liquidity would start to increase. If the dollar increases, then global liquidity will shrink. And that's what's been happening lately, as the dollar has been finding the bottom of its channel and starting to push up little by little. On the volume, we're currently sitting at 28 million. Last week we had 57 million. The week prior we had about 50, and the week before that was 70. So hopefully we can start to see some larger volume days and weeks to get MSTR moving. Like I've said before, we need volume to get this thing moving to the upside. If there's no volume, then MSTR has no real chance of moving up, because volatility is what drives MSTR. And of course, we can't expect some kind of breakout when Bitcoin hasn't been breaking out. Bitcoin goes sideways or down, then you can't expect MSTR to break out realistically. On the monthly here on Bitcoin, we actually look pretty good, as we had this nice candle up. We got rejected, and maybe, hopefully, we get a wick fill. And this is a nice green candle, and it fills this entire wick to the upside, and that would be, completed at around 123. We still have 25 days left, so a lot can happen in that time period. We'll see what the Fed, what their tones are, and how the unemployment and inflation reports come out and how that may shift September's meeting, and we'll see where things go as the FOMC or the Fed starts to change their stance and the probabilities. You'll see the market will start to shift along with it before it actually happens. So if the market's anticipating a cut, the market will already move like a cut has happened because the markets are forward looking. So the market's not going to wait for the actual cut to come. It's going to move ahead of that move. That's usually how things go. So we'll be checking that out for sure. And I'll keep you posted in the Discord for sure. I'll keep you guys up to date on everything. So make sure you check that out, especially if you want a more in-depth video on MSTR and Bitcoin. As we spoke about prior, we are at a key level of resistance as we broke underneath these wicks, held the close, we retested, and now we're kind of just in this indecisive move. We haven't made a decision yet, kind of just trending sideways. But we still have 4 days left in 2 hours. So a lot can happen between there. Hopefully this turns into a nice green candle and we completely reverse this move and start playing with higher prices. But for now, we're sitting within this range of 115 to 110. We haven't touched it yet. Not saying we're going to, but we are within this range. If we can get a weekly close back above 116, that's going to open up our possibilities of pushing down, bouncing off of here, and then start to play within this range between this 116 level and around 118. On the longer time frame, you can see that we're just rejecting off of a level that we were speaking of prior to happening, as we already knew that we've had rejection multiple times. We knew it wouldn't be easy to break through here. So it comes as no surprise that we saw a little bit of rejection. Nothing has changed about Bitcoin. It's still more than likely going to see higher prices this year and going into 2026 potentially, depending on how long the cycle goes. Right now, things are holding up well. It's looking like we're headed for a right translated cycle at the moment. It doesn't look like anything too catastrophic has happened for a left translated cycle that would deviate Bitcoin just yet. It's still in the cards, of course, and a left translated cycle might, give us that early peak instead of the later peak that we're used to in Q4. Now, we would more than likely find another level of rejection off of this midline, as it has served as a level of resistance prior. The long-term thing that we need to happen is getting a monthly close above this midline, bouncing off of here, and then pushing up to higher levels. As we spoke about prior, when you pull a fib from this level, you can see that we more than likely could find some resistance at 1272, which kind of lines up with this midline, as well as the 1618, which also could line up with the midline depending on when we touch it, because if we touch it here in November 2025, then it would line up at 143. Also, if Bitcoin were to continue its trend of breaking these fresh highs, or breaking this structure here, once Bitcoin breaks this structure, it typically runs, if that were the case, like we've said previously, that would take us to around that 150 to 160 mark. So that's something that we could also be seeing if Bitcoin were to continue this trend that it's been doing for this entire move here, dating all the way back to that 2023 low. As I said earlier in the video, we did kind of get a mini breakout on the dollar, pushed up, found rejection, but overall, the reason global liquidity has been struggling is because the dollar was finding the bottom of this channel and pushing up, and we had that large monthly candle of green, which led global liquidity to falling. And I can show you that here. Let me take off the lag. And as you can see that they're inversely correlated. So if the dollar were to continue up, global liquidity would drop, which means Bitcoin could be facing harder times upcoming. And if this were to fall off and actually break this long standing channel, then Bitcoin could continue to rally in the future as global liquidity ramps up further. But as of now, we are at the bottom of the channel, and using TA, this looks unlikely going to go up, then down. As you can see here, we had a very steep drop. Hopefully the trend continues to the downside, because then that would ignite a larger rally for Bitcoin. But without the dollar dropping, we'll see how much global liquidity can continue to rise. That's pretty much all I have for you guys here. Make sure you check out the Discord. It'll be pinned in the comment section and also in the description. Check that out. See if you guys want to hop in, get a deeper insight with longer videos and more exclusive videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one.